Ronnie, thank you so much for taking the time out. I really appreciate this. It was Robert just the other day that introduced the two of us, and your story and what you're doing with Ducatus and everything completely fascinated me. I was so on board. I just wanted to know more, and especially when it comes into the cryptocurrency world, what's going on. There's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of mistruths going around, a lot of people are all for it or totally against it. It's a very polarizing scheme that we're kind of like looking at what's going on right now. And this is why I just wanted to go straight to the source. You're the source. You're the person that's actually on the forefront, kind of leading this way as well. So I'd love to start this in just your explanation of cryptocurrency when we were chatting before, and how you actually explained it to Robert the other day was by far the best explanation I've ever heard. So when somebody asks you, what is cryptocurrency, what's your answer to that?
Well, cryptocurrency for me is something that is now a natural development out of the financial system, right? And it's very easy to use if you put a little bit of effort in learning about it, because what I see in the media right now and the way it is presented, it's always linked to it's mysterious, it's dangerous, it's high risk, and yes, there are risks involved because it's a very new technology and it's still an unregulated market. But when it comes to the usage, it's the same way as you use credit cards today. You see, instead of using a credit card, you use your mobile phone. We do that every day anyway. Apple Pay, Alibaba Pay, everybody's using their mobile phones right now. And the only difference there is that you're not drawing your funds from a bank account, as the credit cards do. It is basically drawing the funds out of a crypto wallet. And you are in full control of that wallet. You can have one currency, like Bitcoin, the most popular one. You can have multiple currencies. These currencies are then traded on the market, so there's a value put to it in fiat currency. And when you are a retailer or when you're a user and you're using cryptocurrencies, you're still paying the value in Australian dollars or in US dollars or in euro. But it's drawn out of your crypto wallet, out of your cryptocurrency, exchanged at real time on the exchange. So instead of drawing it from your bank account, it just draws from an e-wallet.
Do you see this as the future of what is happening with money, bartering, as the way everything's moving forward with the world?
Definitely. I'm a firm believer that that is where we're going to. And I can see it happening on a day-to-day basis. We've just opened our first cashless cafe in Singapore, where we are using all kind of payments except cash, including credit cards, debit cards, but also crypto. And we are actively promoting now the form of crypto payment to give people a real usage where they can see, okay, it's very easy to get crypto, it's very easy to use it, and take out the mystery of the whole thing and make it a real form. And the more and more this is happening, I think the faster the development that we are going to use crypto for payment in the future.
So I really want to just nail this, especially to the viewer right now, is because you're so humble about this. You just opened the first cafe that is cashless. And we were talking the other day during what's going to be happening with the cashless society. They've tested it out before in certain places and it worked really well. And this is where obviously you're on the forefront of seeing this lead the charge. Now, if we were to go diving into the weeds a little bit further into how does cryptocurrency even work, how do you explain that to the layperson that has no idea what's going on right now?
Look, I'm not a tech guy as well, right? But my philosophy has always been that I do not need to understand every detail of it, but I need to understand and I need to see how can I make use of it. And that's what we're trying to do with the cafe. That's what we're trying to do with everything we do with our own cryptocurrency Ducatus at the moment, is making it as easy and as simple as you possibly can. The people who want to know more about it, about the blockchain technology behind how these codes are written, how the transactions are verified with the miners, with this network of computers all around the world. Lots of it is very easily to be found on the internet already. And for me, I always tell people, say, look, get informed, right? Find out what you need. If you're a tech guy, go into every detail you need to. If you are a business person, find out which way this can help, support, and promote your business. And that's what I tried to do in Singapore, and it was amazing to see the kind of media exposure we got just by doing this concept of the cashless cafe, which a lot of people thought, it's worth talking about, and we've had coverage now in, I think, more than 100 countries around the world.
That's awesome.
From South America to Europe to the Middle East to Taiwan, in all different languages, and even in Singapore we were on the second page, half page in the National Straits Times, and it's just a small cafe, but it's in the center of the central business district, surrounded by banks and asset management and investment companies, and there comes our little cafe with a Bitcoin ATM that draws a lot of people right now. Giving cryptocurrency a try and see how it feels like and how you can use it, in your day-to-day transactions.
Prediction-wise, how long until you see this being really just the mainstream?
Mainstream, I really don't know. That depends a little bit on governments and companies embracing it and seeing the opportunity, which is not, it's important to see. We're not talking about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin only, we're talking about the underlying technology, which is the blockchain technology. And some governments are very open towards it now. Australia has, as far as I know, declared Bitcoin a legal tender on the 1st of July. So did Japan on the 1st of April. Dubai has just announced that by 2020, all government affairs will be running on blockchain technology.
Wow, that's huge.
Singapore is developing actively the technology and wants to become the fintech hub of Asia. So in my prediction, from what I see right now, from what I know, what's happening in the crypto industry, what kind of projects are developed currently, which is mind-blowing, honestly. I promise my friend I'm not going to tell it, so I can't do that right now. But I honestly believe that within the next 3 to 5 years we will have the first countries going cashless. In Europe you have Scandinavian countries where 75–80% of all transactions are cashless already, mostly using credit cards and the traditional ways. But the more and more cryptocurrencies are accepted, the more the technology is defined and secured, I think this is the next logical step, and I'm very excited to see what's going to happen over the next 5 years.
This is really, okay, I've got so many questions in my head that I want to get across. This is exciting. Okay, so when it comes to, let's say, the difference between, because there's so many different coins, there's so many different currencies out there, let's get a definition about what's going on. What would be the difference between Bitcoin, because there's so much talk about it right now, and Ducatus?
That's pretty simple, because Bitcoin is, I call it the mother of cryptocurrencies. And when you create a new currency, you can either write the code new, or you can take an existing code, because all these codes are open source, and make your little changes and put some additional things in there. So that's what we did. We are working with one of the most respected cryptographic developers in the world. He was actually the second person in the world to have ever spent a Bitcoin.
Wow. That's a pretty big thing.
It's a pretty big thing,
yeah.
Yes. And he is the second. He is the person that owns the second biggest amount of Bitcoins in the world as well. So he's from the US, a very, very good friend of mine and a very interesting guy. Far too smart when it comes to the tech things. It's always when I talk to him, it's like it completely blows my mind. I have no idea what he talks about. I said, look, you are the guy, you do this, I take care of the business. It's a very interesting kind of situation which we're in right now, and the developments are so fast that it's really difficult to keep up. And I think that's one of the things as well where governments have a little bit of a problem. They're not catching up. You know, it's the way governments work. Obviously, we all know it takes a little bit longer until they make a decision. But in today's time, where technologies are being developed so fast, when governments come to a decision, you know, the technologies have made 2 or 3 steps forward already. So it's quite amazing.
This is really amazing. Okay. The way you explained the other day the difference between, let's say, Bitcoin and how it's created and the actual cost of resources to create one of those, say in comparison to Ducatus, can you explain to the viewer how that actually boils down? Because for me, I was like, oh my God, that's huge. There's a huge difference between what's going on, and especially then kind of like seeing behind your vision with what you're wanting to do.
Yeah, and I come back quickly to the question before. So we're Bitcoin, right? So what we did is we use existing Bitcoin coding and technology, which somebody else did before when they created another of the popular coins, which is called Litecoin.
Okay.
Now, to create a coin from an existing code is a hard fork. That's how they call it.
Yep.
So Litecoin is a hard fork of Bitcoin, and we are now a hard fork of Litecoin.
Yep.
So Litecoin is already an improvement of Bitcoin, and we are another improvement of Litecoin, which when you talk about comparison, we are 10 times faster than Bitcoin.
Wow.
We have bigger, shorter block times, and we are more secure. And the other big difference is the way Bitcoin has been set up from its inventor Satoshi Nakamoto was that you have miners, which are people connected through the computers basically all over the world. That's the mining network, right?
Yep.
And for every transaction that happens using the Bitcoin blockchain, it needs to be verified. It's going to put into the block, and every 10 minutes there's one block, and people are being rewarded for solving a mathematical algorithm to close that block.
Yes.
Now, today there are millions of computers competing for that award.
Yeah.
And the reward at the moment is 12.5 Bitcoins at a price of $15,000 per Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, newly issued every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how Bitcoin works. But the cost for electricity, having these miners, these computers, these GPUs running for 24 hours, 7 days a week, which create a lot of heat, and in cooling is very, very expensive, brings the cost for the creation of one Bitcoin to about $1,300. And as the difficulty increases over time,
because more people are competing.
More people are competing, and every 4 years in Bitcoin there's something that they call halving. So in, I think, 2.5 or 3 years' time, you're not going to get 12.5 Bitcoins per block anymore. You're only getting 6.25.
Oh, wow.
So the cost is going to go higher.
Technically, it will double.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And 4 years after, it's going to halve again. So it's only 3.125 and then half again. And that's why the last Bitcoin, you can calculate that mathematically, will only be mined in the year 2140. So another
there's already known
a
cap on.
There's a cap.
Yeah.
Every cryptocurrency is basically kept at a number. Bitcoin is 21 million. Ducatus is 7.7 billion.
Yeah.
But the difference now between Bitcoin and Ducatus is that we have pre-mined all of the coins.
Yes.
So 100%.
So there's no more extra energy resources having to be poured.
Everything what they do and the energy that is used to create these blocks and the blockchain and to maintain the blockchain over so many years, we have created all of the coins at once. What we do now is we distribute the coins through various marketing channels. The blockchain itself then, once people are starting transactions, and our blockchain went live on the 21st of October, still needs the participation of miners all over the world, but our transaction fees will be much, much lower. Our transaction time is much faster, and we have a different algorithm. We are using an algorithm called Script compared to SHA-256. With Bitcoin, so it's more memory intensive and not computing power.
Gotcha.
Again, those kind of things make a difference when it comes to the running cost of all these miners around the world.
So if I wanted to put my hippie hat on, it's much more green and better for the world with really what's going on as well, because there's a lot of energy and resources being pulled into what Bitcoin is being today.
Yes, for sure, and because we are not having the cost in creating the Bitcoin, Ducatus is meant to be a real payment coin.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a payment coin that costs $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to get, I don't really believe that you will be able to get millions and hundreds of millions of people to join, because they just can't afford it.
Yeah.
Right. So on top of that is the fee structure in Bitcoin, which currently is somewhere around $40, $50 per transaction.
Yeah.
Again, if you run a cafe like me and you pay for coffee and you pay $3, $4 and your fee is $50, it's not feasible. Obviously, nobody will pay with Bitcoin. So that was the original idea of the Ducatus coin, to keep the transaction fee low, to produce more coins and all pre-produce them with a low energy cost, so that our cost hopefully will not go towards 10, 15,000. So if our coin reaches a higher amount or a higher value than the value that we are selling for right now, we are already happy and everybody is in a good place. But speed of transaction, security of transaction, and usability is really the number one concern that we have put into our thoughts when we created this.
I love that, because when you explained that to me the other day, it really came into, I get it, for me, because I was like, Bitcoin is something, well, you're not going to I'm not going to buy a coffee.
No.
And that's obviously where you're wanting to. You're wanting to change actually how people are bartering, purchasing around the world. And I was like, this is the level of thinking that I want to sit down and be able to consume more of. So this is fantastic. Now, if somebody was to ask, why would I choose Ducatus? What's the answer for that?
Compared to other coins?
Yeah.
Compared to simple, we are a payment coin.
Yeah.
Most of the other coins are created and put on the markets to be almost pure speculation. For me, a currency is only worth something if I can barter, if I can buy a product, if I can get something in exchange, right? So try to go to a shop or a retailer or a merchant and ask them if they accept Litecoin or Ethereum or Monero or any of the other coins. I don't know any. I know a few places where they accept Bitcoin, but they have stopped using it right now because of the fees. And I think it's a shame, because the original idea of Bitcoin, which I know from the guy who's developed it for us, because he was one of the core people, was really to create an alternative payment system, peer-to-peer, where you control your money and you're sending it directly into somebody else without going through a bank or another institution, and therefore cut out those third-party fees.
Which is huge.
Which is huge. I mean, every credit card transaction is 2.5%, 3%, whatever percent, right? And if you think that there's like hundreds and thousands of transactions happening every single second, how much money is that per second, per minute, all over the world?
That's crazy.
I mean, a very good example and a very good usage of cryptocurrency, for example, is take the country of the Philippines. The biggest export of the Philippines are the workers in the Middle East, exactly, the maids and the people in the hospitality industry, right? They're earning anywhere between $500 to $1,500 to $2,000 a month, and they're sending a lot of money back to their families to support them back in the Philippines. Now, I've spoken to some Philippine government officials, and they told me it's about a $35 to $40 billion business a year, money remitted back into the Philippines. Most of them are using Western Union or similar kind of services. And fees when using these services can go up to 10-15%. Now, let's say 10%. 10% of 40 billion is $4 billion, which end up in a company account of Western Union in Europe or in America or wherever it is. If these €4 billion could be used to support the local economy in the Philippines, it will make a huge difference to the people in the Philippines, right? And we could solve a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what cryptocurrency is allowing us to do, because those people just need to have the same wallet, e-wallet,
Yep.
using Bitcoin, Ducatus, whatever they use.
Yep.
And they will be able to send $10, $20, $50, whatever, back home to their parents or to the family or whoever they support. The delivery is instant, right? It takes seconds or minutes, whereas when they do Western Union, yes, it's instant as well. That's why they have the fees.
Yeah.
If you do a bank transfer, it takes 3, 4, 7 days. And you still pay $30, $40 for the transfer fee for an international transfer. So if we are finding ways to use cryptocurrency to help people, if we know the problem, then we can really change many people's life, and that's what we want to do.
I love this. Okay, so you said before, I just want to make sure I get this right. Bitcoin was started to become a payment method, currency. It isn't anymore. Why? Where did they go wrong?
Well, I think you see, when it was started by some computer geniuses, techies, you know, and libertarian who wanted to change the world and wanted to create an alternative system. For a couple of years, you didn't really hear anything about Bitcoin, and then when the first exchanges opened and more people got involved, you know, then people saw that you can actually make money with it. And then I believe it's just one of these human characteristics of being greedy and greed coming into the game, and people lost the focus, and it was just about making money, buy in cheap, get out you know, expensive basically, take your profits, invest again and sell again, and it just happened along the way. And for me right now, and I'm not the only one thinking this way, lots of people do, it's become more like a store of value, like an asset. And I like to compare it to gold. You know, banks worked on a gold standard some decades ago as well, but gold you buy to lock it away and to store your value. You wouldn't just, you know, scrap off a couple of gold dusts and go and buy a coffee with it, right? So for me, I compare Bitcoin now to digital gold. And now we need the currency, the US dollar, the Aussie dollar, whatever, to actually make our payments.
Interesting.
And that's where I see Ducatus to come in. We are very, very close in terms of coding to Bitcoin. So basically every merchant in the world who has accepted Bitcoin as a payment with just the change of like 4 lines in their code, in their coding, will be able to accept Ducatus as a payment as well. And that's what we are working towards, that at one point, and hopefully a very near future, a lot of people will be starting to accept Ducatus as a payment. Bitcoin will always be around. I'm a firm believer and a strong believer in Bitcoin, and you know, holding a few and keeping them safe to make sure that, you know, when the price keeps rising, and I believe it will keep rising, you know, you're on the upside of everything. But for payment, unfortunately, I believe the time has come that somebody takes Bitcoin's place. We won't be the only one. There will be other payment coins. I know some of them are being developed as we speak, and my target is just to be one of the top 5 payment coins, and that's what we are aiming for when we make decisions for Ducatus.
I love it. This is awesome. Now, put the cryptocurrency aside. I want to talk about you. How do you get to the mindset of the level of thinking that you're at right now? Not very many people are thinking about, how do I change how people literally barter and buy things around the world for the forever to come?
That's a good question. See, whatever I do right now, this is not what I've learned. I'm actually I've studied physical education, so I'm a sports teacher. I moved to Bali 22 years ago, and the first few years I've just enjoyed, you know, Bali was amazing at that time, in the middle 90s. Bali's changed since, but at some point you start to try business, to try things, and Bali is a great place to try. You know, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't cost so much to start a business. Some work, some don't. You know, but it gives you a lot of experience, and I've developed this hunger to try new things, to set new trends. And every time when somebody tells me that's crazy and you can't do it, then I know I'm on the right path. I got into cryptocurrency 4 years ago because the last few years I've been in the real estate and the hospitality management. I've built villas and hotels, and I manage villas and hotels. And after the financial crisis in 2008, 2009, property markets in Bali really dropped, and it was very hard to sell properties. And a friend of mine told me, I said, why don't you try to, and this is in 2013, where we just had finished 12 villas in Seminyak, why don't you try selling them to the Bitcoin community, because the Bitcoin price has risen from like, you know, $1 to a few $100s now, and there's a lot of people with money that they would like to spend. And I thought that was a crazy but a good idea, and I had nothing to lose because my villas weren't selling. I advertised my villas on a site in the US called BitPremier, and within a week I had somebody interested, and this was the American guy who's now developing our coin for us, our
Oh, interesting.
coin.
I was going to ask that question, but you just answered. Okay, very interesting. Okay.
And the deal went through, so I accepted my first 1,000 Bitcoins. But the market was just very young and I couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't cash it. I didn't even know how to securely store it. And trust me, I had many, many sleepless nights. And then something happened just a month or two after. There was the big hack into the Mt. Gox exchange in Japan, which was the biggest Bitcoin exchange at that time. And Bitcoin just plummeted from $700+ to 200, and I basically lost $500,000 in the month. And all my partners were completely panicking, and they said, "Look, let's just take what we have, you know, cut our losses, take the 150, 200,000 we have." But again, you couldn't change that money. There was a Bitcoin exchange that just opened in Singapore, but they had a daily limit of $2,000. Now, even at that low value, I still had $200,000. That's 100 days. Every 100 days, I would have, you know, changed 2,000 and withdraw it. I said, look, it's either all or nothing. And you can say whatever you want. I'm keeping the Bitcoins, and you know, I have access to the wallet. So you can't really do anything about it. And obviously today, at the price of 15,000, they're all very happy that I'm a little bit of a stubborn person.
Good investment.
Exactly. But that's how I got involved.
Would you now call that the most expensive villas in Bali?
At today's price, probably, yes. At that time, it was the highest Bitcoin transaction in the world. So it was a world record, and it stayed that way for 18 months. So I was interviewed at that time by CNBC, just like I was interviewed by CNBC last week with the cafe. And it was quite an experience, and I've met a lot of very interesting people at that time who were all early adopters in the Bitcoin community, and when I was telling other people about it who've never heard about it or who had no idea what we're doing, they all thought I'm crazy to take $750,000 worth of Bitcoins anyway at that point, right? But then I tell him about all these other people that I meet, and it was just a complete separate world. And to be honest, for 2.5 years, I didn't really speak much about it. Whenever somebody asked me, "You still have the Bitcoins?" I'm like, yeah. I didn't want to talk about it because it kept that low level for quite some time, only until early last year, I think in April, May, when then the Bitcoin price started to go up again from its $350 mark, and now to its records high this year. Now nobody knows where it goes, but it was an interesting time. And with all these experiences, you know, I like to try new things. I like to observe people, and I develop and create. I always have new ideas, mostly when I wake up in the middle of the night and I have a new idea, and when it sticks and I still remember it in the morning, then, you know, I put a little bit more thought to it. But I've never been scared of trying new things, and I've never let anybody stop me from trying it. If I think this is the right thing to do, I just do it. If I fail, well, there's nobody else to blame than just me.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to be sitting down here with Robert Epstone right now because we're making everything legitimate. Me wanting to publish and get the book of Craving the Truth out, I wanted to do it for two main reasons. I wanted to actually help people see that they can be the best versions of themselves, both being the best body and the best health, for them to be able to do what they want in life. And I wanted to be able to better help the children around the world. And when that first thought came into my head, I thought of Robert, because knowing what Robert does with the Solomon Foundation has moved me personally. I've had the pleasure of going out and seeing him on the ground doing the work, and this is where I'm just so happy to be able to help you do what you do, and that's exactly what I wanted to envision when I really wanted to put together the Sunny Start Foundation, being able to really empower the projects that I can see doing real good in the world. So, Robert, I want to say a huge thank you to you.
Well, deepest appreciation for Chris Dufay, because he's actually giving 100% of the proceeds from this book, Craving the Truth. What a great title, Chris. Absolutely amazing. Craving the Truth, and it's coming out during February. It's being launched globally on Amazon, and 100% of the proceeds are going to help the disadvantaged in Bali with the Solomon Foundation. So I'm really, would you like to sign the MOU?
I would love to.
Great.
Because this makes it legitimate. And I'm really happy to be doing this because a lot of people, when they say, you know what, you don't make money by writing books, and I always like to shatter paradigms. It's kind of something I've wanted to be able to do, and I went, all right, you know what, I want to do something better than making money. I want to be able to create a real movement and to be able to really help people live greater lives. And seeing the work that you've done, Robert, I'm truly appreciative. I want everyone around the world to be able to see what Solomon are doing and what you've been able to create as well. So I think this is just the minimal, honestly, I could ever do with this as well. So
we really appreciate what you're doing. Really do.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Is great. I'm so grateful to be able to have this conversation with you and be able to share this, because I feel like this is going to be a really evolving conversation as we go, and I feel like being able to sit down here with you today, I feel totally blessed. Thank you so much for being able to spend the time and sharing this, because I'm really looking forward to how this is going to come. I'm really looking forward to what's going to be happening with Dracatus as well. So what would you like the viewer to do from today, being able to sit with us?
Well, first of all, it's my pleasure. You know, I'm very happy that I have the opportunity to sit with you and to spread the message, because I mean, all I would ask everybody to do is just be open to the idea that we're living in a changing world.
Yeah.
Technology is changing the way we live, and we know that from the internet, we know that from the iPod, we know it from the smartphones. You know, today things are different already than they were 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And this now is the next step, the next evolution, which will change the way we are spending money and the way we are transacting with each other. And to just block it and say, no, nothing will change, I think this is the wrong idea. To jump into it without educating yourself is as bad.
Yeah.
So I would just say, you know, get yourself or allow yourself a little bit of time to read. There's lots of good stuff on the internet. Speak to people. There's more people involved in Bitcoin than you may know.
Yeah.
A lot of people are doing it, but a lot of people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want anybody to know. But get yourself informed, and then tip your toe into it and start small.
Yeah.
Get the hang of it, start using it, you know, and have discussions with friends and with people and seek information, and then make the decision for yourself how much you want to be involved. For me, I'm 100% convinced that in 2, 3, 4 years time, you know, we're not going to talk about this anymore, because it's a day-to-day things. Everybody will be used to using cryptocurrencies. The mystery will be gone by then, and by that time people will talk about it the same way. They will be using it the same way as they're using credit cards today.
So interesting. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Welcome.
Now, I hope you've been able to enjoy sitting down with us today as well. And if you have any questions for us whatsoever, do make sure that you comment below, because I want to hear from you and where you're at. Because as I said before, this is an evolving conversation. And you said it so well just then as well. This is starting the conversation. Because that's what really excites me right now, is we're starting the conversation to make sure, because there are a lot of people in the lurch, in the dark, confused, not knowing. And let's open it up, because it isn't something that we should be scared about. It's something we need. I feel like we need to embrace as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Now, this is where I want to make sure that you get the most out of being here, and I want to hear from you. So if you've enjoyed this episode, click like, and make sure I can send you the new episodes each and every week. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, I really want to make sure that I'm giving you exactly what you need. So comment below. I want to know what you're going to take away from this episode. And the best conversations after every episode always happen in the Breaking Success Tribe. I'll pop a link below for you to join the free group so you get access to the guides, the live streams. I'm in there answering your questions personally each and every day. Plus you get all the episodes as well. So thank you so much for being here and joining us. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.